The second law that protects the consumer is the Consumer Protection Act 2007. A commercial practice is a conduct or description offered by a business to a consumer before, during, or after the consumer's transaction. This law bans unfair business to consumer commercial practices. A commercial practice is unfair if the business does not provide the consumer with a reasonable standard of skill and care, and it is not honest and upfront with the consumer. It significantly impairs the consumer's ability to make an informed choice. Consumer Protection Act 2007. This act prohibits three kinds of unfair commercial practices or anti-consumer practices. Misleading practices, 1, 2, aggressive practices, and 3, prohibited practices. A commercial practice is misleading if it contains false information or misleads or deceives the average consumer into buying a product they might otherwise not have bought. This act makes it illegal for a business to tell lies or mislead a consumer about the product or services, mislead a consumer about the price, or mislead in the advertisements. It is illegal to sell goods with misleading claims about the product service, including a false or misleading description, saying something's 100% leather when it's not. You cannot be false or misleading about the nature of the product or service, example, saying it's award-winning. You cannot give misleading descriptions about its main characteristics, its geographical origin, i.e. where it was made, or its usage and prior history. Misleading claims about the price. It is illegal for a business to make false or misleading claims about the price. A business must be honest about the actual price, the previous price, and the recommended price of the product. The way the price was calculated, any special offers with regard to price. If a product is advertised as being on sale before, well then it must have been sold at the higher price for 28 consecutive days in the last 3 months. Misleading practices. Misleading advertisement. This states all information contained in a business's advertisement must be fair and accurate. All advertising should be clear, unambiguous, and easily understood. No relevant information should be obscured or hidden. Misleading advertisements. Misleading information by a salesperson and omitting important information needed to make an informed decision are all considered misleading practices. Aggressive practices. What is an aggressive practice? It's a commercial practice is aggressive if the business harasses, coerces the consumer, or puts the consumer under unfair pressure so that he or she can't make a decision of their own free will. The Act bans the following aggressive practices: threatening or abusive language or behaviour by the retailer, taking advantage of a consumer's misfortune or circumstances, or when the consumer's judgment is impaired. Prohibited practices. The following practices are completely banned: making untrue, unsupported claims that a product can cure an illness, advertising a closing down sale or a moving to new premises sale when neither fact is true, a direct appeal to children in an advertisement to buy a product, i.e. to pressurise the parents to buy the product, is banned. Telling customers they want a free gift when in fact it will cost them to claim the gift, banned. A competition where the top prize doesn't exist, it's a banned practice, and demanding payment for unsolicited goods is a banned practice. The Consumer Protection Act 2007 also, this act bans organising, promoting or participating in pyramid schemes. A pyramid scheme operates by getting a consumer to pay money to join the scheme, with the promise that more people he or she can get to join, the more money he or she will earn. This is a business that does not actually sell a product. Any person or trader that promotes these schemes is liable for a fine of up to $150,000 or 5 years in prison. A business must display the selling price of every item. So this is how the pricing. Grocery stores must provide weighing scales to allow customers to find out the weight and the price of unpacked food products. The Minister is given the power to make regulations requiring a business to display prices of certain products in a specific way. So sometimes fruit has to be done per kilogram and vegetables. The Consumer Protection Act also states that in an emergency situation, only the government can set maximum price that can be charged on a product, and many felt that the government should have done this with regard to face masks in the beginning and hand sanitisers. Consumer Protection Act 2007. Sanctions and penalties. The Consumer Protection Act set up the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and it has the following powers. The Competition and Consumer Protection might accept a written undertaking from a business that it will stop and it will obey other conditions set down if they were engaged in illegal practices. The CCPC can issue a compliance notice to stop and obey the law by a fixed date. The CCPC can apply to a court for a court order, a prohibition order, forcing the business to stop any illegal activity. It can also issue on-the-spot fines or fixed payment notices to the business that break the price display rules. The CCPC has the power to name and shame the guilty businesses by publishing details in its consumer protection list. It can prosecute a business that breaks the act within 2 years. A judge can impose fines of up to $3,000 or 6 months in jail. The Consumer Protection Act allows consumer redress. Any consumer who suffers at the hand of a business in breach of this law can sue the business in court for compensation. The consumer may also be awarded exemplary damages through extra compensation for suffering. So if they suffered by the use of a product that if somebody had said that the product could cure them of cancer and they died, well then their family and all could possibly sue them and get exemplary damages. The CCPC may apply on behalf of the consumer for a compensation order from the courts that forces the business to pay financial compensation to the consumer. And it's great to have an agency that could actually take on and fight for your compensation. So the evaluation of this law. This law does a good job of protecting consumers because it protects consumers from sharp practices and rogue traders. It ensures that the consumer gets fair and honest information about the product and price. It ensures that the consumer is not lied to or misled, and the consumer has protection and the retailer is punished. It also ensures that the retailer is responsible.